My name is Madison Torres. I'm 22 years old. 2 weeks ago, my father stood before 50 people, relatives, family, friends, his law firm colleagues, at my graduation party. He raised his champagne glass, but he wasn't looking at me. He was looking at my younger sister. And then he said the words that still echo in my head. I wish it was you holding that diploma tonight, Olivia. You are the only child who has ever truly made me proud. My mother nodded in agreement. No one objected. No one even glanced my way. I left quietly. Not a single person noticed. But what happened after that? They're still reeling from it. Before we begin, if you genuinely enjoy this story, please take a moment to like and subscribe. Where are you watching from, and what time is it there? Drop a comment and let me know. Now let me tell you how it all started. Let me introduce you to the Torres family. My father, Richard Torres, is a successful attorney, senior partner at one of the most respected law firms in the city. My mother, Patricia, comes from 3 generations of lawyers. And my little sister, Olivia, she's 19, just finished her first year of pre-law, and she's the sun around which my parents orbit. Then there's me, the black sheep who chose nursing. I still remember the day I told them, 4 years ago. I was 18, trembling with excitement about my acceptance into the nursing program. My father looked at me like I'd just told a joke that wasn't funny. Nursing? He set down his whiskey. You want to be a servant to doctors for the rest of your life? My mother sighed. Our family has been in law for 3 generations. You're the first one to break tradition. I tried to explain. I wanted to help people, to be there in their most vulnerable moments, to actually make a difference. They didn't hear a word. From that day forward, every phone call home revolved around Olivia. Olivia's grades, Olivia's internship applications, Olivia's bright, shining future. Meanwhile, I graduated top of my nursing class, worked double shifts to pay my own tuition, and received commendation after commendation from my professors. Not once did they ask how I was doing. Not once did they attend a single ceremony. But there was one person in my family who always kept track. Someone who called every Sunday without fail. Someone who remembered every exam, every clinical rotation, every small victory. Someone my father had never respected. And that person would change everything. 2 months before graduation, I received an email from my mother. No greeting, no, how are you, just logistics. Your graduation party will be held at the Sterling 7 p.m. Saturday. Your father has finalized the guest list. You don't need to worry about anything. I read it 3 times. My graduation party, planned entirely without me. I pulled up the guest list attachment. My stomach dropped. 53 names. I recognized maybe 10 of them, relatives I barely knew. The rest? My father's colleagues, business associates, partners from the firm. Even Olivia's sorority friends made the cut. But my friends? My nursing professors? My colleagues from the hospital where I'd done my clinicals? Not a single one. I called my mother immediately. Mom, can I invite some of my own people? Professor Martinez was my mentor for 2 years, and my friend Celia, Madison. Her voice was patient, like she was explaining something to a child. This is an opportunity for our family to make an impression. Your friends, they wouldn't fit in. I felt the words like a slap. Wouldn't fit in? You know what I mean. The partners' wives will be there. We need the right atmosphere. I hung up without saying goodbye. That night, I looked at the invitation card my mother had sent for my records. My hands shook as I read it. Celebrating the Torres family was printed in elegant gold script, not celebrating Madison Torres, not Madison's graduation, just the family. Like I was a footnote in my own story. I should have seen it coming, but I still wasn't prepared for what they had actually planned. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in my tiny apartment, staring at the ceiling, running through 4 years of memories, 4 years of swallowing my pride, 4 years of telling myself, just wait. When they see you succeed, They'll come around. But the truth was becoming impossible to ignore. The more I stayed silent, the more invisible I became. If I let this party happen the way they planned, if I smiled and nodded while they paraded Olivia around like a trophy, I would officially become the failed daughter in everyone's eyes. Every late night studying, every patient I'd comforted, every perfect score I'd earned, all of it would be erased. I looked at my diploma frame on the wall, summa cum laude, top of my class, a piece of paper that had cost me 4 years of no vacations, no social life, no rest. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I ignored it, too tired for telemarketers. A voicemail notification popped up. I almost deleted it, but something made me listen. Hello, this is a message for Madison Torres. This is the office of Presbyterian Memorial Hospital. We have some important news we'd like to share with you in person. Please call us back at your earliest convenience. Presbyterian Memorial, the most prestigious hospital in the state, the place where getting an interview was nearly impossible, let alone a job offer. I called back immediately. I'm sorry, the receptionist said. The office is closed for the evening. Dr. Webb will be available tomorrow morning. Dr. Webb, the director of recruitment himself. What could be so important that he needed to tell me in person? I didn't sleep at all that night. The next morning, I called the one person who had never let me down. Grandma? Madison, sweetheart. Eleanor Mitchell's voice was warm as sunshine. I was just thinking about you. How are the party preparations going? I told her everything. The guest list I had no say in, the invitation that erased my name, the feeling of being a stranger at my own celebration. Silence on the other end. A long one. Did your father invite me? She finally asked. I hesitated. I'm not sure, Grandma. I see. Her tone shifted, hardened just slightly. Well, I'll be there regardless, invited or not. Grandma, I don't want to cause trouble. Trouble? She laughed softly. Sweetheart, I spent 40 years as a nurse. I faced down doctors who thought they were gods and administrators who thought they owned us. Your father's disapproval doesn't frighten me. I felt tears prick my eyes. At least someone was in my corner. Madison, she continued, your value doesn't depend on whether your parents can see it. I know what you've accomplished, and I'm proud enough for all of them. Thank you, Grandma. Oh, by the way, her voice turned lighter. I ran into Dr. Webb last week, the recruitment director at Presbyterian Memorial. Do you remember him? My heart skipped. You know Dr. Webb? We served on the Community Health Foundation board together for 15 years. He mentioned your name, said some very impressive things about you. What did he say? Call him back, sweetheart. I think you'll want to hear it from him directly. She hung up before I could ask more. What exactly had my grandmother told him about me? 3 days before the party, I drove to my parents' house. I found my father in his study, reviewing case files. He didn't look up when I entered. Dad, can we talk about the party? He kept reading. What about it? I'd like to invite a few people. Professor Martinez, some friends from the hospital. No. He turned a page. The list is finalized. Dad, this is my graduation party. Now he looked up. His eyes were cool, assessing. This is a Torres family event. I just want my mentor there. She guided me for 2 years. A nursing professor? He actually laughed. What will my colleagues think? They'll think I was well educated. They'll think this family has one child who couldn't keep up. The words hit like a punch. I steadied myself against the doorframe. Dad, I graduated top of my class. In nursing, Madison. He said it like the word itself was beneath him. Your sister is going to Harvard Law. Do you understand what that means for this family? I thought this party was about my graduation. He finally set down his papers, looked at me fully, and what I saw in his eyes wasn't anger. It was worse. It was complete indifference. I've already told everyone that we're announcing Olivia's Harvard acceptance. This party is the perfect opportunity. He picked up his pen again. You just need to show up, smile, and try not to draw too much attention to yourself. I stood there, frozen. Try not to draw too much attention to yourself. At my own graduation party. I understand, I said quietly. I said. But I was lying. For the first time in my life, I was lying to my father. I found my mother in the kitchen, arranging flowers for the centerpieces. Mom, I need your help. She didn't stop arranging. With what, dear? Talk to Dad. About the party. About making it actually about my graduation. Madison, she sighed. I don't want to create conflict. You'd be standing up for me. I'd be disrupting the family harmony. By supporting your own daughter? She finally looked at me. Her expression was the same patient, slightly tired look she'd worn my entire life. Sweetheart, you've always been so sensitive. Your father means well. He just expresses it differently. He's turning my graduation into Olivia's announcement party. He's celebrating both of you. He literally said he wished Olivia had my diploma. You must have misheard him. I was standing right there, Mom. She set down a rose. For a moment, just a moment, I thought I saw something flicker in her eyes. Guilt? Recognition? Then it was gone. Your father has worked very hard to build this family's reputation. The least we can do is support his vision. Even if his vision erases me? Silence. You're choosing a side, Mom. I'm keeping the peace. By sacrificing me. She picked up another flower. Her hands were steady. Her voice was steadier. You've always been too dramatic, Madison. Just like your grandmother. I left without another word. That evening, an email arrived that changed everything. The subject line read, "Formal offer of employment, Presbyterian Memorial Hospital." I opened it with trembling fingers, and suddenly I had a choice to make. I read the email 3 times to make sure I wasn't hallucinating. Presbyterian Memorial Hospital was offering me a position in their emergency department. Not just any position, the most competitive nursing role in the entire hospital. Hundreds of graduates applied every year. Most didn't even get interviews, and they wanted me. The salary made my jaw drop. $78,000, starting. I'd done my research. First-year associates at my father's law firm, they started at 65. But the next paragraph was what truly caught my attention. We would like to present this offer formally at a significant event in your life to honor your exceptional achievements. Please let us know if you have any upcoming occasions where this would be appropriate. They wanted to make it public, a ceremony, a moment. I looked at the invitation card on my desk. Celebrating the Torres family. A thought formed. Dangerous, audacious. What if I gave them exactly what they wanted? I scrolled to the bottom of the email. There was a postscript that made my breath catch. P.S. Mrs. Eleanor Mitchell recommended you to our attention. She described you as the most exceptional nursing student she has witnessed in her 40 years in the profession. We are honored to have you join our family, Grandma. She hadn't just mentioned my name to Dr. Webb. She'd actively advocated for me, used her decades of connections and credibility to open a door. And she'd never said a word. I didn't reply to the email that night. I needed to think. My family wanted to use my party to celebrate Olivia, to minimize me, to make me invisible. Maybe it was time to let them see exactly who they'd been ignoring. I drove to Grandma Eleanor's house the next morning. She was waiting on the porch with tea already poured, like she knew I was coming. She probably did. Grandma always seemed to know. You got the email, she said. Not a question. Why didn't you tell me? She smiled, stirring her tea. Because it wasn't my achievement to announce. I simply told Dr. Webb the truth. Everything else, you earned yourself. I sat beside her. Grandma, tell me about Dad. About why he's like this. Her smile faded. Your father came from nothing, Madison. worked his way through law school on scholarships and spite. When he married your mother, he married into 3 generations of legal prestige. She paused. The first time he met me, he looked at my nurse's uniform and said, "I hope your daughter will have a better life than you." He said that? To my face, at their engagement dinner. She shrugged. I've never been someone worth impressing in his eyes. Just the mother-in-law who serves doctors. But you've done so much. The foundation, the scholarships, the community health programs, none of which involve a law degree. She reached over and squeezed my hand. Your father measures worth by titles and prestige. People like us, we measure it by lives touched. She stood up and walked inside. When she returned, she was holding an envelope. This came for you last month. I've been waiting for the right moment. I opened it. A letter from the Dean of the School of Nursing, a formal commendation for academic excellence, and a nomination for the Future Healthcare Leaders Program. Grandma, you don't need your parents' recognition, sweetheart. Her eyes were fierce. But if they insist on looking, let's give them something to see. That afternoon, I called Dr. Samuel Webb. Madison. His voice was warm, professional. I'm so glad you reached out. Did you receive our offer? I did. I'm honored. Truly. The honor is ours. Your clinical evaluations were exceptional. Your professors couldn't say enough good things. I took a deep breath. Dr. Webb, about the formal presentation you mentioned. Yes? I have an event this Saturday, my graduation party, at the Sterling restaurant. That sounds perfect. A celebration of your achievement. I hesitated. It's complicated. My family doesn't exactly understand the value of nursing. A pause. I see. His tone shifted, became knowing. Mrs. Mitchell mentioned something similar. Your family has lawyers, I understand. 3 generations of them. Well, I could hear him smiling through the phone. I suppose we'll have to show them what a real achievement looks like. I'll bring the formal offer letter and a small surprise. What kind of surprise? You'll see. Trust me, Madison. Saturday evening will be memorable. After I hung up, I sat in silence for a long time. I hadn't told Grandma about my plan. I hadn't told anyone. This was my choice, my moment. My whole life, I'd tried to earn my family's respect by staying small, by being quiet, by hoping they would eventually turn around and see me. They never did. Maybe it was time to stop waiting. I looked at my reflection in the window. 22 years old, top of my class. A job offer that would make lawyers jealous, and a family who thought I was nothing. One of those things was about to change. I didn't know exactly what Saturday would bring, but I knew one thing. It wouldn't go the way my parents expected. Okay, before we get to the graduation party, the part I promise you won't be able to look away from, I want to ask you something. Have you ever been looked down on because of your career choice? Ever felt invisible in your own family? Drop a comment below and tell me your story. If this is hitting close to home, give me a like so I know I'm not alone in this. Now, back to Saturday night. The Sterling was even more impressive than I remembered. Crystal chandeliers cast golden light across white linen tablecloths. Fresh roses adorned every surface. Wait staff in black uniforms moved silently between tables, filling champagne glasses and adjusting silverware. 50 guests, minimum. I scanned the room and recognized maybe a dozen faces, distant aunts, cousins I saw once every few years. The rest were strangers in expensive suits, my father's colleagues, his partners, their wives. I arrived at exactly 7 o'clock. My father was standing at the entrance, shaking hands with a silver-haired man I didn't recognize. "Richard, congratulations," the man was saying. "Big occasion for your family." "Thank you, Charles. Big things ahead." Dad noticed me approaching. A brief nod, nothing more. Then he turned back to Charles, as if I were just another passing server. I moved further into the room. My mother was near the head table, fussing over Olivia's dress. a gorgeous emerald gown that probably cost more than my monthly rent. Meanwhile, I was wearing the navy blue cocktail dress I'd bought with 3 weeks of overtime pay. "Madison, there you are." Mom barely glanced at me. "You're at table 6, near the back." "Near the back?" "The front tables are for your father's partners." She smoothed Olivia's collar. "You understand." I understood perfectly. I walked to table 6, found my name card, looked up at the banner stretching across the main wall, celebrating the Torres family. In elegant gold script. No mention of graduation. No mention of me. I was a guest at my own party, a backdrop for someone else's announcement, but they didn't know I'd brought guests of my own. At 7:15, the restaurant doors opened. Grandma Eleanor walked in like she owned the place. She was wearing a navy blue suit that probably cost more than my father's. Her silver hair was perfectly styled. Her posture was ramrod straight. At 78, she still commanded attention without saying a word. My father's face went pale. "Eleanor." He stepped forward, blocking her path. "I don't recall sending you an invitation." Grandma smiled. It wasn't a warm smile. "I'm here for my granddaughter's graduation party. I don't need your invitation, Richard. This is a private event. For family. Yes, I am family." She stepped around him effortlessly, "whether you like it or not." My mother rushed over, her heels clicking urgently on the marble floor. "Mother, please, let's not make a scene." "I'm not making a scene, Patricia. I'm simply attending." Grandma's eyes swept the room. "Where's Madison seated?" "Oh, table 6, in the back. How appropriate." Several guests had stopped their conversations watching the exchange. My father laughed, a forced, too loud sound. My mother-in-law, everyone, always a bit dramatic. Grandma didn't acknowledge him. She walked straight to me, her arms open. "There's my girl." I hugged her tight, fighting back tears. "I have a surprise, Grandma," I whispered. She pulled back, eyes twinkling. "I know, sweetheart. I have one too." Before I could ask what she meant, a server announced that dinner would begin shortly. My father was already moving through the crowd, doing damage control, charming his partners with that practiced smile. He had no idea what was coming. Neither did I, entirely. But I was about to find out. After dinner, my father stood up and tapped his champagne glass. The room fell silent. "Thank you all for being here tonight." His voice carried easily, practiced from years of courtroom performances. "We're gathered to celebrate our family." A small pause. I noticed he didn't say my name. "As many of you know, the Torres family has a proud tradition in law, 3 generations of attorneys and soon to be 4. He turned toward Olivia, who was beaming at the head table. "I want to raise a glass to the future, to my youngest daughter, Olivia, who has just been accepted to Harvard Law." Applause rippled through the room. I saw my mother nodding proudly. My father continued, his eyes still on Olivia. "I wish," he paused for effect, "I truly wish that Olivia was the one holding a diploma tonight. She is the only child who has ever truly made me proud." More applause, but quieter now. I noticed several guests exchanging uncomfortable glances. My mother nodded along, smiling. No one looked at me. I sat frozen at table 6, feeling every eye that deliberately avoided mine. The pitying glances from the few relatives who bothered, the indifference from the rest. Olivia was still smiling, but something flickered across her face. A moment of discomfort, maybe even guilt. Then it was gone. My father raised his glass higher. "To the Torres family, to our brightest star, Olivia." Everyone drank. I didn't touch my glass. My grandmother stood up. The room went silent again. And I realized this was the moment everything would change. "Richard," Grandma's voice cut through the silence like a scalpel. "I believe you forgot something important." My father's smile tightened. "Eleanor, this really isn't the time. This is exactly the time." She stepped away from table 6, moving toward the center of the room. You just gave a toast at your daughter's graduation party. You didn't mention her once. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. I mentioned the family. You wished a different child was holding the diploma. Grandma's voice was calm, but razor sharp. At the party for the child who actually earned it. Eleanor, you're embarrassing yourself. No, Richard. You've been doing that for years. Gasps from several tables. I saw my father's colleagues leaning in, suddenly very interested. This is a family matter, my mother interjected, standing up. We shouldn't air private issues in public. Private? Grandma laughed softly. You planned a public party to announce Olivia's college acceptance at Madison's graduation celebration. You put her at the back table. You didn't even put her name on the banner. She gestured at the gold lettering. There's nothing private about this humiliation. My father's face was turning red. I've had enough of this. Eleanor, sit down or leave. I'll do neither. The room was utterly still. 50 people watching, waiting. Then the restaurant doors opened. A man walked in, mid-40s, distinguished gray at his temples, expensive suit. He was carrying a large envelope. He walked directly toward me. My apologies for the late arrival, he said, loud enough for everyone to hear. I have urgent business with Miss Madison Torres. My father frowned. Who the hell are you? The man smiled. I'm Dr. Samuel Webb, Director of Recruitment at Presbyterian Memorial Hospital. The room went completely silent. Dr. Webb walked past my father without acknowledging him, stopping directly in front of my table. Miss Torres, he extended his hand. It's an honor to meet you in person. I stood, shaking his hand. My legs felt unsteady. Dr. Webb, I didn't expect... I wanted to deliver this personally. He held up the envelope. May I? I nodded. He opened it, pulling out an official document with the hospital's letterhead. Then he turned to address the room. Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for interrupting your evening, but I have an announcement that couldn't wait. My father stepped forward. Now wait just a minute. Madison Torres, Dr. Webb continued, ignoring him completely, graduated summa cum laude from the School of Nursing, top of her class. Her clinical evaluations were the highest we've seen in 15 years. He held up the letter. Presbyterian Memorial Hospital is honored to offer her a position in our emergency department, effective immediately. Starting salary, $78,000 per year. Audible gasps from multiple tables. I heard someone whisper, $78,000? For a nurse? Dr. Webb smiled. For an exceptional nurse. To put that in perspective, most first-year attorneys at top firms start at $65,000. He looked directly at my father. If anyone wants to compare. The silence was deafening. My father's face had gone from red to white. My mother's hand was pressed against her mouth. At the head table, Olivia was staring at me with wide eyes. Not jealousy, something else. Surprise. Real surprise. Dr. Webb handed me the letter. Congratulations, Madison. You've earned this. Thank you, I managed, but he wasn't finished. There's one more thing, Dr. Webb said. The small surprise I mentioned. He reached into his jacket and pulled out another envelope. This is a letter from Dean Harrison of the School of Nursing. It was addressed directly to Madison, but given the occasion, I thought I'd share a portion of it. He unfolded the paper and began to read. Madison Torres is the most exceptional nursing student we have trained in the past 15 years. She achieved not only perfect academic marks, but demonstrated compassion and professionalism that exceeded every expectation during her clinical rotations. We are proud to nominate her for the Future Healthcare Leaders Program, reserved for the top 1% of healthcare graduates nationwide. He looked up. The top 1%, nationwide. Applause erupted. Not polite applause, genuine, enthusiastic applause. I saw my father's colleagues nodding approvingly, turning to look at me with new respect. My God, I heard someone say. Richard, you never told us she was this accomplished. My father opened his mouth. Nothing came out. Dr. Webb folded the letter and handed it to me. Your grandmother was right about you, Madison. Every word. Grandma stepped forward, her chin held high. For those who are wondering, she announced, her voice carrying across the room, I was the one who introduced Madison to Presbyterian Memorial. I spent 40 years as a nurse, building relationships that Richard here has never respected. She smiled. Turns out being a servant to doctors has its advantages. My father looked like he'd been slapped. My mother sank into her chair. And Olivia. Olivia was staring at me with an expression I'd never seen before. Not pity, not jealousy, something like respect. The room was still buzzing when I stood up. 50 pairs of eyes turned to me, waiting. I'd spent my whole life avoiding this moment, staying quiet, staying small, hoping that if I just worked hard enough, they'd eventually see me. They never did, so I stopped waiting. Thank you, Dr. Webb. My voice was steadier than I expected. Thank you, Grandma. I turned to face the room, to face my parents. I spent 4 years trying to prove I was worthy of this family. I worked double shifts. I never asked for help. I graduated at the top of my class. I paused. Tonight, I realized something. I don't need to prove anything to anyone. My father started to speak. Madison, you misunderstand. I understand perfectly, Dad. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. You wanted to use my graduation party to announce Olivia's acceptance. You wished she had my diploma. You sat me at the back table. I gestured at the banner. You didn't even put my name up there. The silence was absolute. I'm not angry. I meant it. The anger had burned away, leaving something cleaner behind. I'm just done. Done waiting. Done hoping. Done pretending you'll change. I picked up Dr. Webb's letter. From today, I'm setting a new boundary. I won't beg to be loved anymore. I'll invest my energy in people who actually value me. I looked at Grandma. Her eyes were glistening. Then I looked back at my parents. I'm not asking for an apology. I'm just letting you know that things will be different now. My father finally found his voice. Madison, let's discuss this privately. No, I smiled. I think we're done discussing. My father's face cycled through several emotions, shock, anger, and finally, something that looked almost like panic. Madison, you're being dramatic. He forced a laugh, glancing at his colleagues. You know how it is. Family misunderstandings. This wasn't a misunderstanding, Dad. I kept my voice calm. You literally wished my sister had my diploma, in front of 50 people. I was making a toast to someone else at my party. A man stood up from one of the front tables. I recognized him from my father's office, Mr. Harris, a senior partner. Richard. His voice was quiet but firm. I think your daughter deserves an apology. Several heads nodded around the room. My father's laugh died in his throat. Charles, this is a family matter. You made it public when you gave that toast. Mr. Harris looked at me with something like respect. Young lady, congratulations on your achievements. That's genuinely impressive. Thank you, sir. My father was losing control of the room. I could see it in his eyes, the realization that his carefully planned event had completely derailed. Everyone, please. My mother stood up, her voice strained. This is between our family. Patricia, Grandma's voice cut through. For once in your life, be quiet. You've stayed silent in the wrong moments for far too long. My mother's mouth fell open. The room was utterly still. My father looked around at his colleagues, his partners, the people whose opinions he'd spent decades cultivating. All of them were watching him with new eyes. He swallowed hard. I don't know what to say. For the first time in my life, Richard Torres was speechless. And I realized this was enough. Wow. Are you feeling this as much as I am right now? Comment and let me know. If you were me, would you stay or walk out after that moment? Here's the thing, the story isn't over. What happened next actually changed my whole perspective. Hit that like button if you want to hear how it all ends. Now, let me tell you about the aftermath. The party dissolved quickly after that. Guests made polite excuses and headed for the exits. I stood near the door, accepting congratulations from people who'd ignored me an hour earlier. But I also caught fragments of conversation. Two of my father's colleagues were lingering near the coat check. I had no idea Richard was like that with his daughter. $78,000 for a new nurse? My son graduated law school last year. He's making 62. Did you see his face when the hospital director walked in? Priceless. Makes you wonder what else we don't know about him. I watched my father standing alone in the corner of the emptying room. No one approached him. The partners who usually orbited around him kept their distance. My mother was frantically gathering her things, avoiding eye contact with everyone. Mr. Harris stopped beside me on his way out. Miss Torres. He pulled a business card from his wallet. If you ever need anything, a recommendation, a reference, advice, don't hesitate to call. Thank you, Mr. Harris. Your father is a skilled attorney. He paused. But tonight, I learned something about his character I wish I hadn't. Good luck to you. He shook my hand and left. I looked across the room. Olivia was still at the head table, alone now. She was watching me, not with anger, not with jealousy, with something that looked almost like confusion, like she was seeing me for the first time. Our eyes met for a long moment. Then she stood up and started walking toward me. I braced myself for whatever was coming next. Olivia stopped in front of me, her emerald gown suddenly looking too bright under the dimming lights. Madison, her voice was hesitant. Are you okay? I almost laughed. Are you seriously asking me that? She bit her lip. I didn't know it was this bad. How could you not know? She looked down. I guess I thought this was just how our family worked. Dad talks about me, Mom focuses on me, and you... She trailed off. I stay invisible. I never thought of it like that. She looked up, and I was surprised to see her eyes glistening. I just thought you were quiet, that you didn't want the attention. I wanted it, Olivia. I just learned I'd never get it. We stood in silence. Around us, the restaurant staff had begun clearing tables. I'm sorry. Her voice cracked. I know that doesn't fix anything, but I am. You don't need to apologize for Mom and Dad. I'm apologizing for me, for never asking, for never noticing. She wiped her eyes. For just accepting how things were. I felt something shift in my chest. Not forgiveness, not yet, but something softer than the wall I'd built. You were 19, Olivia. You're still 19, you didn't create this dynamic. But I benefited from it. Yes, you did. She nodded slowly. What happens now? With us? I considered the question carefully. You're my sister. That doesn't change. But our relationship needs to be rebuilt. On respect. Not on whatever this has been. I want that. Her voice was small but sincere. I want to actually know you. Then start by seeing me. Not as a comparison, just as me. She nodded again. It was a beginning. 2 weeks after the party, Grandma called with news. Your father's having a difficult time at the firm. I was in my new apartment, unpacking boxes. What do you mean? Mr. Harris told some of the other partners about that night. The story spread. She paused. Apparently, several clients have requested to work with different attorneys. They're leaving Dad? Not entirely, but they've made it clear they prefer colleagues with better character, as one of them put it. I sat down on an unopened box. I wasn't sure how to feel about this. He's not getting fired or anything, Grandma continued. But his reputation took a hit. The golden boy image has some tarnish now. I didn't want that. You didn't cause it, sweetheart. He did. You just stopped covering for him. That afternoon, my mother called for the first time since the party. Madison, her voice was tight. We need to talk. About? Your father's colleagues. They keep asking about you, bringing up the party. It's affecting his work. That's not my fault, Mom. You could talk to Mr. Harris. Explain that your father didn't mean what? To humiliate me? To wish Olivia had my accomplishments? To seat me at the back of my own party? Silence. I can't control what people think about Dad, I said quietly. That's the consequence of his actions, not mine. Madison, I'm not going to clean up his mess, Mom, not anymore. I hung up. For years, I'd protected my family's image by staying quiet, by accepting less, by making myself small. Those days were over. The consequences of their choices were theirs to carry now. My first day at Presbyterian Memorial, I stood outside the emergency department doors for a full minute, just breathing, just taking it in. The badge clipped to my scrub said, Madison Torres, RN, my name, my title, my achievement. Ready for your first shift? Dr. Webb appeared beside me, smiling. More than ready. Good, because the ER waits for no one. Inside was controlled chaos, exactly what I'd trained for. Monitors beeping, nurses calling out vitals, doctors moving with purpose. I was assigned to a veteran nurse named Gloria for my first week. She showed me the systems, the shortcuts, the unwritten rules that kept the department running. You're good, she told me after my first patient intake. Really good. Whoever trained you knew what they were doing. I had an excellent professor, and my grandmother was a nurse for 40 years. Eleanor Mitchell? I blinked. You know her? Gloria laughed. Honey, everyone in this hospital knows Eleanor. She helped train half the senior staff. That woman is a legend. I felt a warm glow spread through my chest. A bouquet of sunflowers was waiting in the break room, from Grandma with a note. To my granddaughter on her first day, I've always been proud of you, always. My first real patient was an elderly woman, 72 chest pains. She was alone, scared, gripping the bed rails with white knuckles. I took her hand. I'm Madison. I'm going to be with you through this. You're not alone. Her grip relaxed. Her breathing steadied. This was why I chose nursing. Not for the money or the prestige, for moments like this, for being there when someone needed me most. I was exactly where I belonged. 3 months later, my life looked completely different. I had a job I loved, colleagues who respected me, an apartment that was finally starting to feel like home, and Grandma Eleanor, who visited every Sunday for tea and stories. As for my family, my father still hadn't called, not once. I wasn't surprised. Richard Torres didn't apologize. He simply waited for problems to disappear. I wasn't going to disappear anymore. My mother texted occasionally, short messages. How are you? Or, thinking of you. Never an acknowledgement of what happened, never an apology. I responded politely, briefly, nothing more. But Olivia surprised me. She called every Sunday, right before Grandma's visits. We'd talk for 20 minutes, sometimes more. She told me about law school applications. She was reconsidering Harvard, looking at schools closer to home. She asked about my patients, my shifts, my life. She never mentioned our parents. I want to understand you, she said one Sunday. Not the version of you I thought I knew, the real you. It wasn't perfect. We had years of distance to bridge. But she was trying. That meant something. The Torres family wasn't healed. Maybe it never would be. But I'd stopped waiting for that healing to come from anyone but myself. I set new rules. I would answer if they reached out, but I wouldn't chase their approval anymore. I would attend family events if invited, but I wouldn't tolerate disrespect. I would love them from a distance if that's what it took to protect my peace. Boundaries weren't punishment, they were self-preservation. And for the first time in my life, I was putting myself first. Sometimes, on quiet evenings, I sit on my apartment balcony and watch the city lights come on. I think about the journey that brought me here. 4 years of working myself to exhaustion, trying to earn love I should have had freely. 1 night of public humiliation that could have broken me, and 1 decision that changed everything. I stopped pretending to be invisible. Here's what I learned. Your worth doesn't depend on whether anyone else sees it. The people who should love you unconditionally sometimes can't. And that's not your failure. It's theirs. Boundaries aren't revenge. They're not punishment or cruelty. They're the line you draw between what you'll accept and what you won't. Between who you are and who others want you to be. Not everyone who calls themselves family deserves the title. Real family, the people who show up, who see you, who celebrate your victories, and hold your hand through failures. Sometimes shares your blood. Sometimes they don't. I didn't beat my parents that night at the Sterling. I just stopped losing myself to them. My phone buzzes. A text from Olivia. Sunday call still on? Another from Grandma. Made your favorite cookies, bringing them tomorrow. A third from Gloria at work. Patient from last week asked about you. Said you were an angel. Thought you should know. I smile. A real smile. The kind I couldn't remember having before all this. My father wanted me to be invisible. My mother wanted me to stay quiet, but I refused, and that made all the difference. I didn't win against them. I just stopped losing myself. That's the only victory I needed. That's my story. Thank you for staying with me until the end. If you've ever felt overlooked, compared, or invisible in your own family, I want you to know, you deserve better. Your worth isn't determined by anyone else's inability to see it. If you want more stories like this, check out the video linked in the description. Like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. See you in the next one.